And welcome to Story Time with me, Marcus! And the title of this video story is called Super Fight! And the backstory of how this story came about was I was hanging out with some friends and they had a card game which just so happened to be called Super Fight, and we played it. And so what the card game is it's a party game where you're given a bunch of just random cards. They could be people, adjectives like 50 feet tall, or 1,000 of them, or has a tiny shrunken arm, just weird things, and items, say a ray gun that creates portals, or when they teleport, they go blind for 10 seconds, or when they lay eggs, the eggs explode. Yeah, anyhow, there's a lot of things that you can give the other characters. And then after you go around placing the cards that you have on any of the characters that the other players have chosen, then after all the cards are placed, each character has a certain amount of just strange attributes. And then you go around seeing which character would win, because you end up with some silly and strange combinations, and then afterwards you think, well, I think that this one would win this one because of this, and it's just great silly fun. And after we had done one of the rounds, I thought it was so funny that how all of the characters developed that I thought, I think I can turn this into a story. And so from that card game, I turned it into a story, and now I'm going to read you the card game in story form titled Super Fight. It was a typical day for Blimey. Hide, eat, survive, the basics of octopus life. But Blimey was no normal octopus. Swooshing through the ocean currents was one of his favorite pastimes. Today, the water was perfect. For Blimey, a red octopus dotted with purple circles, nothing was more exciting than swimming the currents and dodging the predators. Before Blimey even enters the current, a few pairs of eyes have already spotted their future lunch. Blimey, unaware of the dangers, enters the current and, closing up his body, shoots along, passing schools of fish, a dolphin, and even a sea turtle named Crush. The thrill of soaring along effortlessly never got old. Neither did the feeling when a predator chased him. Looking behind him, Blimey notices the light shining down upon a large fish with stripes and hungry eyes. A tiger shark, seeing Blimey, swooshes its tail and shortens the distance between them. A rush of life surges through Blimey, and it makes him feel young again. Whipping each tentacle, Blimey speeds forward. With no intention of becoming lunch, he zooms out of the current and slides through a hole the size of a small cookie. Turning around and peering back out of the hole, Blimey sees that the shark is swimming back and forth, waiting for him to exit. Rather than becoming shark food, he continues to squeeze through the small tunnel. Popping out the other end, Blimey is in awe at the sight before him. The water was clear, and light shined all the way to the bottom, illuminating an object. With one swoosh, Blimey puts himself on trajectory to reach the object. Wrapping a tentacle around the strange object, he pulls it closer to him. 4 blue coils encircled the sphere at the front. The back half was orange and ovular and had what looked like a handle to be jutting out. If Blimey knew that he had just picked up a futuristic space pistol, he would have left the strange object alone. With curiosity getting the better of him, Blimey squeezes the trigger. The coils light up real bright, and then the object begins to shake. After a moment, it shoots out a blue orb that smashes into the wall, opening up a portal that begins sucking in all the water. Immediately, Blimey's life alarm flares up. Fighting against the current with all his might, Blimey finds it futile and enters the portal. Plopping out high in the sky, Blimey falls for a significant amount of time. Landing on a large object, Blimey latches on. Hoping to get a moment to figure out where he is and why it's so hot and why there is no water around him, the object he landed on begins frantically running around. Holding on for dear life, Blimey bobs up and down and all around. With the tentacle holding the portal gun, it is unable to latch on fully and flops up and down, smacking the running object. Thinking it's being attacked, the running object begins jumping in an attempt to remove Blimey. After a terrible landing and almost being ejected from his latched position, Blimey squeezes all his tentacles in an attempt to stabilize himself. Pulling the trigger, the blue coils light up and shoot out a blue orb. Smacking directly into the ground below the object, it opens up a portal, accepting the object and Blimey. "Whoa! Did you see that?" a passenger asks. "See what?" the tour guide says. "I could have sworn that I saw a portal open up, and what looked like an octopus fell out of it and landed on a giraffe. Then the giraffe started running around like crazy and started jumping. Next thing I see is a blue orb and they both disappear." The tour guide, looking over in the direction of where the alleged event took place, says, "Are you sure? I haven't seen any animals since we started this tour." "Are you accusing me of making this up?" No. It's just that is such a strange thing to see. It makes it hard to believe," the tour guide says. "Fine, believe me if you want, but I know what I saw," the passenger says, folding their arms and looking the other way. Once again, Blimey is stunned to find himself in such a new location so quickly. Never has he traveled so fast. Especially not from an ocean to a hot, dry desert and then to a beach. Seeing the water, Blimey points his portal gun at it and squeezes the trigger out of excitement. A blue orb shoots out of it, travels 15 feet, and opens up a portal. Both Blimey and the giraffe stare at the mesmerizing blue swirls folding on top of each other. It was like nothing neither of them had ever seen before. As the portal begins to shrink, a large horn followed up by a slightly smaller horn peeks through. Then a large gray hulking head with a massive boulder body follows. The giraffe, upon seeing the rhinoceros, freezes up until the message to survive is rushed to all of its cells. Filling its muscles with oxygenated blood, the giraffe takes off running directly to the ocean. All the while, Blimey is shooting portals everywhere, which are opening where they smack into something or 15 feet away. All sorts of animals are pouring out of them. The moment the giraffe's hooves touch the water, it begins to rapidly shrink. Smaller and smaller the giraffe becomes. The neck shrinks back into the shoulders. The head begins to form into a large mouth with many rows of teeth. The top half becomes a shiny black, while the belly becomes an opaque white. Fins grow out the side and back, while a large tail forms. Seeing the killer whale forming, Blimey launches himself into the ocean. The moment the cold water touches Blimey's head, comfort and relief surge throughout his body. Being home in the water, Blimey is confident he can escape. Looking around, all he sees, though, is open water. Everywhere to run, nowhere to hide. Splash! The large orca enters the water, sending a shockwave, notifying all within the vicinity to run and, if possible, hide. Zoning in on Blimey, the orca swims forward. Smoothly, the whale cuts through the water. Spotting the whale closing the distance, Blimey's will to live takes over. Swimming amps up to overdrive. With every swoosh forward, Blimey shoots a portal in hopes to send the whale somewhere else. Swimming out of one of the portals, a handsome diver with curly black hair and blue eyes pauses to watch the scene unfold. Oh, how my significant other would love to hear about a killer whale and an octopus that fell in love. It would just make her day. Which is what the diver would have said if he could speak underwater. Putting the dart gun up to his lips, he would also say if he could, I am so grateful I went on that quest and obtained Cupid's dart gun. Sure, we lost a few good people, but look at me now. I can make animals fall in love. Taking aim, the diver darts the whale, reloads, and then darts the octopus. Blimey stops swimming and turning around, looks into the eyes of the killer whale. How could he not have seen it before? The way the light gleams out of its eyes, the beautiful black and white coloring, the way it ferociously charged him. It now seems so obvious that Blimey is surprised he didn't see it before. He is madly in love with the killer whale. From the way the whale was looking at him, it seemed as if the whale felt the same too. The orca swims forward and begins to circle Blimey. The whale is showing all other living beings within the vicinity not to touch this octopus. After scaring off everything in the vicinity, the whale gently swims up to Blimey and begins nudging it as if saying to latch on. After a moment, Blimey understands and latches on. The whale, in absolute jubilee and honeymoon love, swims straight up, leaving the water and arcing high into the air. Blimey, in his own excitement, shoots the portal gun. A portal opens up on the surface of the water, directly where the whale was entering. Awing over that situation, the handsome diver places his hands over his heart and says, It never gets old seeing two animals fall in love. Looking around, he then says, Now, where am I? And how do I get back? And that ends Chapter 1. Chapter 2 is in the next video, which I will see you in after you like and subscribe. Thank you for joining me with this story. I will see you in the next one. I love you all so very much. Aloha and goodbye.